Hello, my friends, and welcome to episode 188 of the Kiss Army Nation podcast. I'm your host, Pasquale Veri.
And I am Claudio Spera. Welcome to the show, everyone.
On this episode, we're going to be taking a general look at the band's extensive long-form videos from concert films to documentaries and beyond. We're going to dive into the band's visual legacy by exploring videos that have captivated fans around the world.
And to help us on this journey, we are joined by our dear friends, Patrick de Montigny and Eric Meta. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hey, great to be here.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Eric, we haven't seen you in a while. So how is the world of music promotion going for you?
Well, I run Montreal area music events on Facebook. So that's basically a page to promote bands that are happening and playing in and around Montreal. We've got almost 6,700 members now.
Wow.
So it started from a very small, intimate group and really spread out. And, we've been championing a lot of great artists we met, like Rachel Dara is an incredible folk artist, singer-songwriter. She's already been compared to Joni Mitchell.
Oh, wow.
Councilman Errol Johnson and Dollard actually referred to her at the West Island Blues Fest last year as probably one of the greatest talents emerging to come out of Canada, not just Quebec. And I believe that too. Ash Lex is another artist that we've discovered recently. My guitar teacher and actually musical mentor, Rad Crasto, actually just produced her first album. And I was at Planet Studio and actually heard the album, which is coming out at the end of March. And Ash is just amazing. It's amazing music. It's beautifully produced. I think it has a lot of broad-based appeal. Lyrically, it's brilliant, just like Rachel's stuff, and can't say enough good things about it. So as far as I can tell, there's more and more interesting artists happening on the scene in Montreal. The important thing is that people just get out there and support their music venues. Because not only has it been rough after COVID, but there's been a lot of problems in certain municipalities and also downtown Montreal with noise complaints. Which puts a lot of venues at risks and puts the livelihood of a lot of great artists at risks. So get out there and support your favorite local bands and get out there and go check out some gigs.
So how can people get access to it? What's the page, Eric?
You just go on Facebook and you look up Montreal area music events.
Oh, there you go.
And you can join. It's a public page. It'll give you all sorts of different information for gigs happening on the South Shore, on the West Island, downtown, Laval. And it's all different types of music. So you have classical artists, jazz, you have easy listening, you have rock, metal. I have a friend actually in Kanawaki who actually promotes his rap projects there too as well. And it's something for everyone. And from what I've come to find is where a lot of people go to plan their weekends now, which is kind of nice.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So Pat, you should promote your next gig with Eric. Come on.
Who knows what the future holds? You never know.
How are things with you, Pat? All good?
Very good. Yes, very, very good. Quiet in the Kiss world, but just routine and trying to stay indoors.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. There you go. Well, welcome, guys. It's always a pleasure to have you on.
So it's good to be indoors in front of the screen, talking Kiss with you guys. This is going to be a good one. We've been wanting to do this episode for a while now, talk about long form videos. So I'm looking forward to seeing where this is going to go. So as I said earlier, this episode is basically an exploration of the band's visual legacy. And we're going to be looking at the band's long form videos, concert videos, and documentaries and so on. So I want to set the stage, so to speak, to discuss this topic with the following question. Do you believe that Animalize Uncensored Live set the stage for future Kiss videos? We'll start with Eric.
I don't know that it set the stage, but I always think of Animalize as kind of being like its own thing, like its own beast. Because if you look at their releases, it's one of their only releases where it's a straight concert filmed straight through.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved about it. When I first got it, I was 12 years old. I found it at a record shop at Glens Falls, New York, Aviation Mall. where in the summertime, that was like a haven of all things Kiss with Lake George and upstate New York. So we just went there and we found it. Back then, it was $29.99 US, which was a lot of money back then for a video cassette. So I actually pretty much had to beg my parents to buy it. But I got it home, and of course, you knew that it wasn't going to be Makeup Kiss, but it served as a great introduction to non-Makeup Kiss. And for me, it was my first exposure to Bruce Kulick, and I loved Bruce's playing. I actually read on a message board recently that Kiss Animalize Live Uncensored was the alternative to Kiss Alive 3,
Yeah.
which they were planning back then, which makes a lot of sense because they were coming off three very strong albums, Creatures of the Night, Lick It Up, and Animalize. So instead of just doing a straight CD or back then vinyl release, they actually decided to do long form video. And I think that along with the Rolling Stones and some other bands, that was actually one of the first long form videos that actually came out, probably because they were just so pricey back then. Not many people bought them. I think as far as setting the stage for future Kiss videos, I think that was more Kiss exposed with the sketches, the vintage footage, the current videos and stuff. And that, I think, was the template that started around 87 when all sorts of different bands from Motley Crue with Uncensored were doing similar types of home video releases. But I mean, I still love Animalize Live and Uncensored. I got the, I think it's the Brazilian DVD years ago with the Portuguese hard press subtitles. It's a fantastic concert document, and along with Alice Cooper, The Nightmare Returns, I think in 1986, was one of the first long form videos I ever bought. And I still have the original copy too, somewhere in my basement.
Eric, when we were planning this episode, you often brought up Kiss Exposed. Why does that video have so much meaning to you?
Why does it have so much meaning to me?
Yeah.
Okay, because you have to remember back then, okay, I'm someone, okay, when it comes to Kiss, I was never that much of a merchandise guy. I was into magazines and reading up about the history and kind of like being a Kisstorian, as they say.
Right.
So, and you have to remember in 1987, we didn't have internet or anything where we could see Kiss live. You had this mythical interpretation of what a Kiss concert in 1975, 77 would be, but you really didn't know what it would be to experience it. So that was another incident. We went to Fairview Shopping Center in Point Claire, me and my mom, and I saw it up on the shelf, and my mom was nice enough to buy it for me. You know, she probably wasn't anticipating how much nudity there'd be in it and stuff,
Right.
which for her was probably a drawback, but for me was a big plus, especially as a 14-year-old. But it's like all that, it's like it was almost like an updating of Spinal Tap. And you could really see that they had their it was like a tongue-in-cheek type thing, that they didn't take the whole thing too seriously, which was great. But to me, like when they go down into the Kiss vault and there's Joseph Kiss Sr. on the wall and all that stuff and whatnot, but when they start dusting off the videotapes, like I lost my Kiss-loving mind. And especially when I saw Detroit Cobalt Hall for the first time, because you had the Alive album and you always imagined what it must have been, but now you're actually seeing what a concert in 75 would be. And the San Francisco was amazing as well. And even, being American fans, Canadian fans, we'd always read about, the Unmasked tour of Sydney. Well, now you're actually seeing Detroit Rock City. So it's like, my God, and that like basically spurred in my mind, like if we're seeing these little clips, the whole shows exist somewhere too, which kind of became the foundation at these collector type events, conventions of people trading these tapes. And it's like, you'd found like the Holy Grail. And back then, there were the standard ones that had been around for so long, like San Francisco and this one and Anaheim and that one. But then every once in a while, like Roosevelt 76 would pop up. And then Detroit 77 would pop up, and then Largo, the full show Largo popped up and stuff. So it was a constant source of excitement as to what you're going to see next. And you're actually reliving, And also the thing about Exposed that was fantastic for me was that, being in Montreal, Canada, we did not have MTV. So we had the CBC and we had Much Music and Music Plus. So I'd seen some of those concept videos, the promotional videos, but like I don't think I'd ever seen like the promo video for Who Wants to Be Lonely. And I don't think I'd ever seen the promo video for All Hell's Breaking Loose. So that Exposed was like the total package deal. Plus, it was 90 minutes versus a lot of other long form videos. Like Aerosmith video Scrapbook was 50 minutes. Motley Uncensored was 40 minutes. So it was like an immersive experience. It was like a movie while seeing all this great history.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, it was just the perfect home video back then.
Very cool. Very cool. Thank you. Patrick, Animalize Live Uncensored. Your thoughts?
Well, I remember when it came out, I promised my parents that if I got good grades, that would be my year-end present. And it's funny when it comes to Kiss, how motivated you could be to get good grades.
Yeah, I hear you.
Anyhow, they did buy it. It's not my favorite Kiss era, I think, for many reasons. And but that being said, I had a great. I would watch it almost daily. I thought it was fascinating because I was accepting the fact that this was the Kiss for of the moment, and you'd learn to appreciate what it was. And I thought the song. I always found out the songs were played so fast, but it's sort of like there was a mysticism around Kiss around that time. They were trying to re. They were reinventing themselves. I mean, it was only their second tour without makeup. But you could tell that probably they were happier with having Bruce and the band. You could tell that okay, this could go somewhere. So, but did it set the tone for future videos? I think they were testing the waters to see how it would sell, to see what would come next. And I think Eric was right. Around that time, you didn't see that many long form videos. It's only after that they started popping up, and you would see them advertising Circus and Hit Parader, and yeah, there was all that, like a Bon Jovi, Slippery When Wet, and all that stuff that you would see. Long form videos became the thing. And I agree again with Eric. He kind of beat me to it that it was more exposed. That's the tone for future releases. Exposed. Now I look at it and I think it didn't age well, to be honest with you. But the content, like Eric said, is what made it exciting. It's like, oh, here's a piece of 1975. You'd never seen them before. That's what made it exciting. And also sometimes the little the goofy parts were kind of funny. But yeah, it's the footage, the early footage, and even the Rio 1983. It's like, wow, you'd hear about it, but then when you see it, you go, oh right, it was big. So that's what made Exposed so attractive. So I think Animalize set the tone for maybe Kissology, rather.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Good point.
yeah. Claudio, your thoughts?
Well, basically, both Eric and Pat, they cover it all. To me, it holds a special place, Animalize, because at that time I remember I was still living in Buenos Aires, and we didn't have exposure. We didn't have the means to have access to videos, coming from the US. So I remember, even though the album might not be one of my favorites, the video is, because it's a full show. And if you compare to what came after, like Second Coming and Extreme Close Up, that we're going to touch on that later, this one, the fact that it's a concert from A to Z, it's great to me, and I love that era. I love the set list, even though it was a little bit the up tempo, it was a bit fast, but I loved it. But again, just to agree with Eric and Pat, to me the 80s at the music level and the albums was not that great, but the videos stand out, and in particular Exposed. To me, Exposed, because of what I said before, we didn't have access to many different videos or anything like we have today. So now you type anything on YouTube and you see it. When I could see both Paul and Gene go into the vault, and put Australia and Brazil and all those kind of short footage, it was fantastic, man. It was entertaining. It was a bit clowny, with the nudity, with the cheeks and everything, but I loved it. And I think that I agree with Pat. They were kind of trying to find a place with the videos, a new product. They tried with Animalize with a full concert, and then they went a little bit, more funny stuff with Exposed. And then I think they kind of found the formula with Confidential, Exposed, that basically they have the same format, a little bit of interview, a video, a clip, and blah blah blah. But just long story short, I don't think it set the stage for Kiss videos, but being the first, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I don't think it set the stage for future Kiss videos per se, but for me, I think it set the stage for my reintroduction to the band in the 80s when I got back into them in 89. And it's funny, I was talking about this with my interview with John Carter a few episodes ago. That to me was the video that solidified 80s Kiss music. And I remember that I liked the 80s stuff at the time better than I liked the 70s stuff. And like I was saying on the John Carter episode, the 70s Kiss didn't really fit with the 80s Kiss. But when they pumped up the speed, it all sort of had a cohesion to the music. And Animalize Live basically was that concert. To me, that was 80s Kiss. And I remember watching it at Andy's place, and I enjoyed it from beginning to end. I haven't seen it in years, and that was one of my favorite videos then. And watching it now, it's like, yeah, it's still one of my favorite videos. And what a set list, number one.
Oh yeah.
What a set list. You don't see that today, and the up-tempo songs made the songs harder, more fun. I forgot how much energy Paul and Gene had back in the day compared to now. Running around, jumping around, sweating after the second song. It was, oh my God, it was just an incredible thing to see. So that really, for me, whet my appetite for seeing more and more Kiss in the 80s. And for me, that was the foundation for my reintroduction to Kiss.
And actually, it's interesting because, I might be wrong. I don't remember, but that must be an official video, with a full concert, the only one with Eric Carr. So, so that's another plus. That's the only chance you have to see, Eric in full action, and that was fantastic, man. That was fantastic. So let's move into things like Extreme Close Up, Confidential, and Second Coming. So, Patrick, do you believe that those three videos capture the band's iconic stage shows?
I think so, because they were a little more serious than Exposed. Extreme Close Up was more like a biography of the band up in '92, and they would show excerpts of the old footage, and they showed more than on Exposed. And I think it showed what they were about. And then you have Confidential, which is like on the Revenge tour. That is one that I really love watching. It's not a complete concert, but you got to see the stage. I don't get the idea of the black and white thing, but aside from that, I think again it gave you an idea what it was like. And the Second Coming is my favorite of all time because it documented the reunion, which I have a very soft spot for, and it was brilliantly done. I can't say nothing bad about Second Coming. You got the vibe of what the reunion was, live as much as backstage and everything else. So even the first, attempts when they first started rehearsing and that kind of thing, it did give a great picture of what the reunion was. So yeah, I think those three videos are like masterpieces for me.
Good. Eric, what's your take?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with Pat. Extreme Close-Up was a documentary, and you see the chronology, actually the evolution of of not only Kiss but of the stage show. So that was a great education, if you will, into how they progressed from the Alive tour to Dynasty and beyond the non-makeup years. And that I actually love that video, and the fact that Bruce and Eric Singer actually got to speak for a change and actually
Yeah.
voice some opinions about things. That was cool too. I'm probably in the minority in that I can't stand the Kiss Confidential video. I think there's a couple of reasons for that. It suffers from that quick editing style that MTV revolutionized and whatnot, where it's almost impossible to seize on an image compared to Animalize, where you're actually feeling like you're there. It's like edit, 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 and it got progressively worse as time went on
Yeah.
with like the Symphony and Rock the Nation DVD, where like not only is it like cutting to something different every 2 seconds, but it's like moving quickly and it almost
Yeah.
makes you sick to your stomach. That's one of the reasons I don't like Kiss Confidential. And the other reason is I find that even though Exposed was cringy at times, it was a product of its time. Everyone was doing that. I find like some of the stuff in Confidential, like when Paul's imitating the bus driver trying to pick up groupies and
Yeah.
the strippers backstage and whatnot, that was already 1992 and they were already in their 40s, It was kind of like, stuff that Motley Crue had already done in 87, 88. And
Good.
we were already transitioning at that point into grunge. So it just made Kiss look a lot more passé than maybe they actually were, even though there was a great album and a great tour happening there. And I mean, the tour statistics, the attendance were not great for that tour. But another
Yeah.
reason also that Confidential was never a great release for me was that soon after that was released, I actually got a VHS tape of the uncut Detroit show. So I would just watch that because
That,
it didn't
right.
have the fast edits and stuff. Confidential was great because right in the middle of there, if I remember correctly, there were 4 vintage clips put together, about 4 or 5 vintage clips. And I think that was the first time we'd seen anything from Cobo Hall Night 3. So that was fantastic. We didn't mention Kiss My Ass. Can I say Kiss My Ass?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, in that case, Kiss My Ass. So that one actually I really loved because it was almost like a commercial for the History book and the Kiss My
That's right.
Ass
Yeah.
and the Kiss My Ass tribute
Album. Yeah.
but because it was that, it was kind of like an all-encompassing embracing of the past. And even at one point, there's a part where they say Ace and Peter, they couldn't have done it without them. So
Yeah.
you felt like in that video they were really reconciling with their past.
They
And
were
there was
preparing the reunion. That's right.
Yeah.
there was a lot of great clips in that, like when he's saying like kids from New York out to see the world, and you see those pictures of them in the 70s without makeup, and it goes into Do You Love Me at Madison Square Garden. And that also, if I'm not mistaken, was the first long form video where they actually showed Largo, full songs. Love
Yeah.
that. And
True.
and second, like Pat said, Second Coming is flawless. It gives you a complete feel for how the reunion was, and not just the show, but everything that went into the show and into the tour, and bringing it from country to country and city to city. It's a fantastic document of of 96, 97.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, all members that get a fair share of the spotlight, and you're seeing priceless footage like when they first tried the outfits on at Gene's house. So
Yeah. Mhm.
so
Yeah. Well done. It was really well done. Pask, what's your opinion on this?
Yeah, see, I don't think those videos captured the band's iconic stage shows. I think Animalize Live did that. What I think about those videos is that they went behind the curtain, and that's what I loved. You saw Kiss in a different light, even Exposed. To be honest, I wasn't crazy about that video. They were being silly. I found it a little cringy even at the time. I found it ridiculous. I loved the concert footage stuff, but that's all I really liked about it. Again, they were playing a character, and I didn't quite believe the characters they were playing, And even with Animalize Live, it was the fantasy of Kiss on stage and that rocking show. But when it comes to Extreme Close-Up Confidential, especially Second Coming, we see Kiss in a way that we never saw him before. I'll never forget, and it's still in my head, in Second Coming, when they're dancing to the Macarena
Yeah. Mhm.
and full makeup. When
Yeah.
in their dressing room. When have you ever
Backstage,
seen
yeah.
that? It's like, oh my God, they're human beings. Paul picking at his toenails, things, stupid things like that. It's like these are real human beings, and you sort of felt closer to the band watching these videos, and then seeing like the behind the curtain, and then the fantasy on stage. You sort of see that transition, and you were a part of that Kiss world. You were a
Yeah.
fly on the wall, and I think those videos were genius for that, and for what it did for a Kiss fan, and especially me reintroducing myself to Kiss at the time. Watching these videos was absolutely perfect.
Good points. In my case, yeah, I think those three are great. I with extreme close up, what I like it's about the chronology and that was the first time that actually they went through different milestones in the band's history when they were talking about Eric's passing and I at that time, I don't know if, of course it might be scripted or whatever, but at that time I remember I was paying so much attention to what they were saying, Paul's face and Gene's, and I took it, very honest. Of course, now after so many years, and we get to know so many different things that we didn't know at that time. You can say, well, this is all, BS or it's full of lies or whatever. But at that time, I really bought into that, and I love that from extreme close up. Confidential, I'm with Eric on this one. The live footage. It's really so uncomfortable to see. All those changes and stuff. But I do love from Confidential all the behind scenes, the footage. Them on the bus talking and making fun of each other. That's what I love because we had never seen that before. And again, there was the chance to get to know a little bit better Bruce and Eric, that they were so quiet. And Second Coming, to me, that's the ultimate Kiss video. And kudos to Tommy to make it happen, because that's really you can see that it's coming from a fan. And the way it's built up, it takes you from the origins of the reunion, and it covers basically everything that they did during those 2 years. Fantastic video.
It's interesting because I was just talking about how these videos, for me anyway, provided a more intimate look at the band's history. So my next question is this. Videos such as Kiss Beyond the Makeup, remember that? The Ultimate Kiss Records, Alive. Do you think that those videos sort of gave fans a more intimate look at the band's history? Claudio, what do you think?
I don't think so. Maybe for casual fans, yes, they did that job, but for diehard or people who were really into Kiss, I didn't know that. I don't think that they added too much, to the combo. Yeah, of course, it's nice to watch. It's sometimes it's entertaining, but just to answer to your question, providing fans with a more intimate look at the band's history and creative process, I don't think so. I really don't think so.
Okay. Pat, what do you think?
It did give an interesting look. It was especially for the Alive. I don't recall the name of the show, but it was interesting to hear Gene, Paul, and Peter. They sort of talk about how it's not all live, and it's to me that's kind of interesting to hear them touch on that. But I don't know. I think documentaries are only for people like us. I don't believe the average fan who's going to be interested in that kind of thing. So it's more for people like us. So in a sense, I wouldn't mind them doing something similar for, I don't know, maybe the Creatures Are Raw, or maybe the Creatures on the Night album, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we need more of those. I'm kind of a fan of those things, to be honest with you. So I would like to see more. I mean, myself.
Okay. Eric, what do you think?
I think from what I remember from Kiss Beyond the Makeup, it was more like, I guess it would serve as an introduction to fans of new fans of the band's history. It was a nice recalling, of the history of the band. again, it's another documentary, not unlike Extreme Close-Up. So it really didn't offer that much more, except, of course, it included the years where Extreme Close-Up was 1992, and then I think Beyond the Makeup was 2001, whatever it was. So yeah, it was interesting. As far as a more intimate look at the band's history and creative process, I don't think so. I just remember I really enjoyed Ultimate Kiss Records Alive, the bits with Eddie Kramer,
Yeah.
where he actually played the undoctored tape. So you can actually hear what it sounded like before all the touch-ups. And I know for a lot of people that weren't really into the band's history, that was like a really intimate look at the band's creative process, because a lot of people did not know how doctored that album was. And a lot of people, I remember at the time, felt so betrayed and so like disappointed that the album had been doctored to that extent, when the fact of the matter is that almost every live album that's ever been done, from Frampton Comes Alive to this one and that one, has been doctored in some way, shape, or form. The exception being Aerosmith Live Bootleg, where they actually bragged about the fact that it wasn't doctored. But if you listen to it, a lot of times it's out of tune, and you'll hear a guitar drop or something like that. So, yeah, as far as those VH1 specials offering a more intimate look at the band, I found those documentaries very superficial. And of course, it's what they call hagiography, I think, where basically it's biography, but it's also very self-congratulatory and stuff. And of course, you come to expect that. And those documentaries also, as we come to expect, were very Gene and Paul centric.
Yeah.
There were two other VH1 specials. I remember one was When Kiss Ruled the World.
Yeah.
There was another one called VH1 Fan Club, which was actually really interesting because it showed a behind-the-scenes look into the lives of certain Kiss fans. Like, I even think they had done Goddess of Thunder was on there. They had profiled her and whatnot. So that was really interesting.
Yeah.
But in terms of those VH1 specials, giving a more intimate look at the band's history and creative process, I mean, as huge fans since the 1970s, we kind of knew and already seen most of that in some shape or form. So
that's just it, right? You have to understand that, I wasn't a huge Kiss fan since the 70s at that time, right? I learned about the band again in '89. And a lot of fans today, you hear about people getting into Kiss, and they went from like here to here in their fandom. They just went nuts in such a short period of time. And for me, it was more gradual. For a very long time, I still felt like a casual Kiss fan. And I remember seeing Beyond the Makeup. I thought, okay, this is cool. Nothing I didn't know before from the other videos I was watching, But I loved Ultimate Kiss Records Alive, because now I felt a little bit more like a diehard. I know something that casual fans don't know, or casual fans don't really care about. And like, wow, I was taught this about the Alive record, and now we're learning this? Oh, that's pretty deep, man. So I wasn't upset that the album wasn't actually alive. I was actually happy that I knew something that most people don't.
Most people don't know.
I'm on another echelon in Kiss fandom. So it was interesting how, in a sense, these videos were my educational tools to learn more about Kiss when I was reintroduced to them in the 80s.
Mm-hmm. Good point. That's good. And moving forward, you will start to see a little bit more production. So we can talk, about Kiss videos without mentioning Kissology. So in Pascal, I'm going to start with you. So in which ways did that series serve as a companion piece to the band's music catalog?
Oh my God. For me, Kissology is the quintessential Kiss video. I mean, volume 1, 2, and 3 from the beginning to what it was, 2000. Just incredible. And yeah, it was an amazing companion piece to their music. You listen to their albums, and then you see them visually in concert. And it wasn't just a Kissology, right? Because I remember at the time you could buy 3 different versions depending where you go.
The bonus,
Yes, and each version had a bonus disc with a bonus concert.
Yeah.
And there were like 9 of them in total. And I have them all, So boy, going through these videos is like going through the catalog, and you see the evolution of the band in concert as you're watching it. And he had the cool version of Kiss Meets the Phantom as well,
Yeah.
that I really enjoyed, and I like it better than the original because they had it was all Kiss music, none of that what I call porn music, and in the in the movie. But I to this day, I that's my go-to video before anything else. It's Kissology, and it's a travesty that they haven't released anymore. This is
Yeah.
a series that should have continued, and I know there must be copyright issues, whatever. I understand that, but this should have definitely continued. And Claudio, what Paul said on the Kiss Cruise, that there's not a market for video today. I have to so disagree with that
Yeah.
because I'm telling you, if they were released something like Kissology or something like anything they released in the 80s, fans would go nuts.
Oh yeah,
If
absolutely.
you release video with a box set, fans would go crazy. If
Yeah.
they release a video box set, I don't know about you, but I would lose my freaking mind
Oh
over
yeah.
it.
Oh yeah.
And if Pop House is listening, and if Pop House is actually talking to fans, they must know by now that this is exactly what we want.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it might be just for the diehards, but if Kissology says anything about our love for Kiss visually, this is something that they need to continue doing.
Absolutely. And every time there's a chance of fans, expressing their thoughts or desires, it's the recurring question comes up. So where's Kissology 4? So everybody's talking about that, and it's been so long that we haven't seen it. But yeah, I fully agree with you. Eric, what's your take?
Well, I think Kissology 4 didn't happen because of rights issues between VH1 and different things that
Yeah,
I
that's what they say. Yeah.
But I mean, that would not preclude it from continuing on under a different name. If they wanted to release archive footage, it wouldn't necessarily have to be Kissology. They could reboot it. My only problems with Kissology, and I mean, I loved Kissology when it first came out, was that a lot of the footage on there, like the 76 Cobo Hall, was already circulating in fan circles in better quality. And I also didn't understand the reasoning between cutting out songs out of certain concerts.
Yeah, instead
Because,
of full concert. Yeah.
I mean, that's, the whole point of why the bootleg market exists is because people want the full show. They want to see the full show, basically. So I think some cuts were more significant than others, but some were really significant cuts where basically you could really say it was a partial show, especially some of the later shows. So I actually, when I want to watch something like that, I actually go back to the unofficial sources a lot more than Kissology. But don't get me wrong, it was fantastic. The Easter eggs and the little bit with Mark St. John, and
Yeah.
they really embraced in a way that they never had up until that point, and not since, the whole history of the band through those 3 volumes. And I think that's what people like about it.
Yeah.
I don't want to get back on that horse and upset Pasquale about the final show in New York City. But if they could have done something similar in New York City, just had a clip of Mark St. John, or some sort of like small tribute, to Eric Carr on the big screens, kind of like they did with Kissology. Because I mean, in Kissology, they kind of paid homage in one way or another to all the members, kind of forsaking this idea that Paul has put forward, that the last lineup with Tommy and Eric were the ultimate lineup, and that's like Kiss, which is arguable to most fans. At the very least, it's very, very arguable. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Kissology. Would I like to see more of it? Yeah, sure. But at the same time, too, I speak to a lot of people that collect these videos and that have access to videos and to footage that maybe the average fan doesn't. And a lot of these people are saying, especially after the leaks that happened last year,
Yeah.
the year before, that there's not that much left to see in terms of vintage footage. And I had actually asked Tommy about 20 years ago, how many shows in totality were filmed of Kiss in the 70s, and he told me, about 20. So I'm sure there was more than that film, but 20 is probably what they have in their archive. And out of those, who knows how many are in good
Complete.
quality to share.
Yeah. 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 Okay. Patrick?
I think, I was very pleased with the Kissology collections. Very happy with them. Yeah, probably there were better qualities elsewhere, but I think we got the image of what it was, and there was a great potential. It's a shame that it didn't continue rather, because I'm sure they could. Yes, they could do one just with the leaks that happened. Um, but I think also I like the fact that they included that when they were doing the Destroyer tour in Europe with their live costumes, the on the British show, it was kind of cool. I also liked the documentary that they made on Cadillac. That was really really cool. I really enjoyed that. So I think, yeah, Kissology, we need more of those.
Yeah.
Probably like any other fan, too much is never enough. But I really enjoyed it. Even Kissology 3, because like, of course, pretty much we all focus on the early years, but Kissology 3 has plenty of reunion stuff. And even the Revenge show, I love to watch. Even the Unplugged, it's not completely unedited, but close. That is cool to watch as well. So I think there's a Kissology 3 alone is worth so much in terms of, of eye candy.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I wish there would be more. I kind of like I didn't like the Rock the Nation DVD, but I did like the Kiss in Las Vegas, especially the deluxe package. And I wish they could do stuff like that from the past.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be great. I'm sure that probably not a huge market, but some kind of a market. And yes, it did complement the Kiss catalog, audio catalog, because Kiss is such a visual band that you need something like that. So you listen to the record and then you see what it's like live. It's all there.
Well, just to wrap up on this specific question, I do love Kissology, but what I would like to do for this question is maybe put things into perspective and talk about when they were released, because now after so many years we've seen so many things on the net, leaks or whatever. Of course, if you compare against Kissology, yeah, we might argue, as Eric was saying, quality wasn't could be best. But at that time when they were released, I think it was a great product. I remember the excitement when I first put my hands on Kissology 1 and seeing those things that I had never seen before. And same thing with with Kissology 2 and 3. There's almost a complete concert from Hot in the Shade, which is, I think we all agree, it's one of the best, set list and the best tours that the band had. I could die to have maybe, I don't know if under the same name, but a video box set, in higher quality, up to the standards today. I don't know if it's going to be 4K or Blu-ray or whatever, but that to me, that's something that the band should seriously look into that, just to give to the fans, because to me, that's a very, very essential part of the catalog from a band like Kiss, that it's so visual. So you need to see more, instead of just listening, you want to see more.
Now, this next topic was actually covered in other Kiss podcasts. We've all seen the A&E documentary, and I think I could speak for all Kiss fans. We're all looking forward to the upcoming Kiss biopic. Now, how do you feel the biopic should approach the story of Kiss? And by the way, I heard that the biopic is only going to cover the period from the beginning to Alive. So how do you think the biopic should approach the story of Kiss? Eric?
Well, first of all, I loved the A&E documentary. I thought that was a great retrospective. In terms of the biopic, I think casting is going to be essential. I think script will be essential, and getting the chronology right will be essential. Paul, it is an official biopic, correct? That's what I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, because I mean, as much as I enjoyed the Neil Bogart biopic, just like the the changes and the makeup and the chronology that was all over the place it was almost like a fictionalized account of what happened. Granted there was some truth in there, but it was enjoyable, but it was just so all over the place. And I had read a book actually by called Party Every Day or something by Larry Harris.
Yeah. Hmm.
So once you've read the book, you kind of have a better insider's look of what it actually was back then, and the film did not present that. So I think that basically it should be a warts and all type biopic where basically everything is put on the table. Hopefully they don't, over emphasize the flaws of Ace and Peter, because I'm sure, especially at the beginning, that everyone was equally flawed in certain ways. But for some reason, we always hear about how, Peter and Ace were the flawed ones that led to the demise of the original lineup. But there's always, in this case, four sides to every story. I just hope in terms of production value, it's something more like Bohemian Rhapsody than The Dirt by Motley Crue.
Yeah. Mhm.
I thought, even though I'm not the biggest Queen fan, I thought that Bohemian Rhapsody was epic in how it was presented. It was beautiful in how it told the story, the cinematography, everything was perfect about that film. I could have watched it, a dozen times. Whereas, you're watching The Dirt, and it's kind of like a disposable popcorn film, which is kind of like, what ultimately Motley Crue kind of became themselves as well, like a very, superficial type, disposable type band, party music and stuff, but not much substance, at least for me, after Too Fast for Love and Shout at the Devil. So I just hope it's a film that, is honest and unflinching, but at the same time is balanced and has a certain amount of professional quality to it.
Okay. Pat, what do you think?
Yeah, I did like the A&E documentary from 2-3 years ago. It was pretty cool, and I love to see the old footage that we hadn't seen before. So there's still stuff that we haven't seen. But anyways, now as far as the biopic is concerned, I'm looking forward to it. But pretty much like Eric, I'm afraid it's going to be like a Gene and Paul led kind of project. And it's okay. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but we're going to be missing two ingredients that could maybe give it a little bit more flavor. Would be nice to do like a Beatles anthology type of thing.
Hmm.
You had Paul, George, and Ringo, and even John from pre-recorded interviews. I think that's what's been missing from all the Kiss home videos, aside maybe a Second Coming. I would love to hear Peter when he say, oh, okay, this is what happened when I went, and the character would represent what Peter mentions and things like that. But it's going to be mainly a Gene and Paul project. So, but it's going to be interesting, and I just hope it doesn't come off cheesy. That's my only concern, because again, yeah, The Dirt, like you said, Eric, I had a lot of fun watching it. It was funny, and yet it had a very big caricature. So I hope the Kiss biopic doesn't come off like that. I try not. I have cautious expectations with this project.
Okay. Claudia, what about you?
Yeah, my only wish on this one, if it is true that it's gonna cover, from the beginning till Alive, my only hope that I hope it's gonna be a sincere and honest approach. I would be really, really disappointed if they take the chance to keep bashing on Ace and Peter on that one, because if they want to reflect what the band was like during those first 3 years, they were really a band, okay? Because now we know that 77, 78 was the start of, the guys going crazy and doing all kinds of stuff. So I only hope that they don't take this project as a chance of, keep bashing those two guys, because we're going to lose a huge opportunity to to let everybody know what Kiss was about during those first 3 years. And I would love to see, as part of this biopic, the impact that those 3 years had in the history of the band. Because if you don't even go to 79 or 80s, whatever, when the pop stuff began to kind of change the direction of the band, if we're really honest, there's great stuff in the 80s, there's great stuff in the 90s, but the foundation of Kiss to me was those maybe first 3-4 years. Mm-hmm. I hope there truth to that, and they respect the legacy and celebrate that they're going to be doing this biopic 50 years later because of those first 3 years.
Yeah. I enjoyed the A&E documentary. Nothing new in it, but I still enjoyed it. Heck, it was Kiss, But I enjoyed more listening to the casual fan talking about the A&E documentary, saying, I didn't know this about Kiss. I have a deeper respect for the band. So I think for that, we're introducing the band to new fans or just music fans that are learning something about another band. I thought the A&E documentary was amazing for that. And as I'm watching it, I'm imagining a casual fan next to me, what they must be thinking, So I thought that was cool. Now, for the Kiss biopic, to be honest, I'm not looking forward to it. When it happens, of course, I'll be excited. Of course, I'm going to watch it. Of course, we're going to talk about it on this podcast. Guaranteed, right? But if this is a Gene and Paul-led project, forget it. There's gonna be nothing new. And regardless, I think whatever it's going to be for us, it's going to be nothing new. What I'm hoping is this biopic is about how it tells the story about the band's rise to fame. And if they do that really well, I think regardless if you're a casual fan or a diehard fan, we're going to really enjoy this movie. Mm-hmm. And the way I like to see this movie go, for example, it's like, when you're going online and you see something, it's like, okay, well, where's the interview proof for that? Where's the visual proof for this? What are the sources? It would be cool if you sort of mixed actors in the film with stock footage of a concert, of an interview, of something backstage, so sort of to ground the film in reality and basically telling the audience, this is the story that's being told here. And it's real. It's true, because here it is in front of your eyes. And, and the actors are acting out those clips in a sense. And, I love a good, inspirational story with a nice happy ending and a feel-good movie that makes me feel great after watching it. And, Kiss's rise to fame was that kind of story. Mm-hmm. And I hope, like Pat was saying, it's not cheesy. I hope it takes itself seriously because it's a serious thing. And I hope that it's inspirational, that it makes us feel good. It's like, wow, like look what these guys have done in such a short period of time. And you could apply this to any story. It's a universally themed story. And that's what I'm hoping this movie is going to be. Now, my expectations are really high, but that's
why not? Why not dreaming? Why not?
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. And I think it should be a fan / insider who's doing this. Yeah, somebody that the band that has a passion for the band, a passion to tell that story to like-minded fans like them. And I think that's going to work. I mean, you guys heard You Want the Best, You Got the Best movie, right? That never came out. I'm wondering, why that movie didn't come out. What was the story being told there? Why wasn't it released? That's intriguing. And I'm hoping this isn't being censored in any way.
I actually have some insight into that. I actually found out through some sources that no one picked up that documentary for distribution.
Really?
Which is something that happens. It can happen for different reasons. This is why the Led Zeppelin documentary that's been in limbo for 5 or 6 years is finally coming out in 2 weeks. It screened for test audiences and people walked out because, like I said, it was hagiography, it was patting themselves on the back, type thing. It was a very lengthy documentary, and apparently it premiered at Cannes or whatever it was, and Jimmy Page was there, and people actually left
Wow.
Oh yeah,
while
wow.
so basically, in the past couple of years, it's been edited and re-edited now into what they think is a palatable form to be released. It's being released actually in IMAX. A lot of
Hmm.
vintage footage and stuff. For Led Zeppelin fans, it'll be a bonanza. But what I heard through certain sources was that the "You Wanted the Best, You Got the Best" documentary was simply not picked up. So it was shopped, but there was no distributor that wanted to pick it up as it was.
Hmm.
Okay.
Interesting insight. Yeah. So, guys, one final question to round out the discussion. So, moving forward after the end of the road, so what role do you think video should play in preserving the Kiss legacy for future generations? So, do you think are there any specific types of content or projects that you believe could be effective in this regard, Patrick?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, now that the van is, done, basically, I think they could go, the 80s was such a, trying to use the great term here, like overlooked period or a weird period for the band prior to Hot in the Shade. I wouldn't mind a documentary on those years. That what they would go deeper, say, oh, by the time Crazy Nights, we were not sure where we were headed. We tried this, but it didn't work because they would just roll with the punches. And but I would like to have some in-depth info of what they were thinking. Like, why were they doing Crazy Nights? What was their intention? I would love to hear Gene and Paul and Bruce, for that matter, say, okay, well, this is what the band was thinking at that time. We were hoping for this, or we thought we needed to be more current, or I would like something like that on the 80s. So I think the potential is there to develop, or even the when Peter left until Creatures, what was happening again, what was on their mind. I think now they can look back with more clarity now that it's all over and they've had time to digest everything that happened. I think that's me as a fan. That's what I would like to see. Documentaries on overlooked periods or stuff that we don't know that they can say now or whatever. I think there is a market. Again, Kiss is only going to appeal to people like us. The general public, I'm not like I kind of like Metallica, but I'm not going to buy documentaries about them. Whereas Kiss, well, anything. So I think they need to keep people like us happy. So that, as a fan, this is what I want. So I
Okay.
think there's potential, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Good take. Ask.
Claudio, oftentimes when we do one of our interview episodes, we always ask our guests, how should the legacy of Kiss move forward? How should it continue for future generations? We ask that a lot. And I think this question, in my opinion, is the answer. It is visual videos.
Yeah.
As you guys know, they're coming out with the 5-part series on the end of the road. And I'm looking forward to that just because it brings together those incredible 2 nights, not just the shows, but the whole New York experience, what went into the creating of all that. I think it's going to be interesting. Now, this is their opportunity for a second chance to revive Kiss videos and get that excitement for Kiss fans. Forget the avatars and all of that nonsense, in my opinion. This is the way to go. Start working backwards now. And learning about the Kiss legacy. You're starting with the end of the road, where it ended, and start going back. Look at their latest releases, Monster and Sonic Boom. Their failure of Carnival of Souls, Hot in the Shade, their amazing set list, Revenge. Go back to the 80s. So we're slowly rediscovering the band again, and that's interesting for the diehard Kiss fans and the casual fans. And imagine years and years and years of this would be incredible. Something that would be anticipating every few months. It's like we're looking forward to the next chapter of this story, even though we know it. Or are we going to see something we haven't seen before? How are they going to tell this story? What concert footage are they going to use? Are we finally going to see the last Cobo Hall show, for example? So many questions to answer. And,
Would you like to see what type of content? Would you like to see a mix of live shows and interviews and that kind of stuff, or full shows type of Animalize?
everything, everything. Interviews, concerts, behind the scenes, everything. Raw footage, everything. Just throw everything out there. They're not touring anymore. Let's see it all. And this is something they could do for years to come. And think about it. The climax would be the beginning. How cool is that? How cool is that? What an incredible retrospective of the band. That, in my opinion, should be the future of where this band is going to go for Kiss fans.
Well said. Eric?
Well, I think that basically video is essential in preserving the legacy of the band. I think a lot of that is in the hands of the fans. I don't know how much Pop House will devote to that. I kind of think they won't. I think Patrick touched upon something that's really important, could really work. A couple of years ago, I went and I bought all the reissues of the Scorpions catalog that came out, I think, in 2014, 2016. Each disc comes with a DVD that's basically a documentary on that album. So they're interviewed. There's basically every TV appearance they did to promote that is on the disc. Some of them have live concert show that wasn't previously unreleased. To me, that's how you do a reissue and make it valuable, the incentive for fans to keep rebuying. I like the ephemera, like the stuff like the books and and the reproduction tour books and stuff and whatnot, but I just find the documentaries and the history so much more meaningful, especially at this point where we're kind of certainly at the end of an era of rock and roll, and that was priceless to us and is so meaningful. But at the same time that we have to endeavor to preserve, because it's meaningful to us, but that doesn't mean it's going to be meaningful to future generations. And that's something right. I hear. Recently, Universal Orlando actually rebranded the Aerosmith roller coaster as the Muppets roller coaster. and I understand the motivation, because Aerosmith is, for all intents and purposes, now retired. And for kids that are going to be going on roller coasters 8 or 9 years old, Aerosmith doesn't really have that type of relevance that the Muppets would, It was specific to that era. It was fantastic while it happened. I think also that, I think that the hoarders should step up and release stuff. The more hands it's in, the more it's likely to be preserved and not lost. I think as time goes on, the value of this concert footage and stuff is going to be diluted as people kind of like move away from the band and stuff. And there's no doubt the avatars will pick up new fans, but it won't be the same type of fandom that we experience. It's going to be like kids going to go see Disney on Ice or the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or something. That's what I think it's going to be. So yeah, and I mean, going one step further, fans are doing amazing projects now. There's actually a guy on YouTube called Necromonium.
Yeah.
And he's been doing these through the years documentaries where he's using audio and video sources, and he's doing like a 3-hour documentary just from 76 to 78. And it has everything in there you'd want to know, and all the footage and amazing quality. And this is stuff he's doing film editing himself.
Yeah.
So if Gene and Paul were interested, or even if they're still involved, and I don't know that they are, maybe they should retain the services of someone like this, Necromonium, or someone like Incognito Films that's so interested in preserving and creating using this. That's my take on it. Video. I mean, I'm going more and more, to the magazine store and the newsstands, hoping that, the rock magazines will even have a little tiny article on Kiss and what. It's not happening anymore.
No, it's not happening.
But meanwhile, you have 3 entire magazines devoted to the Beatles and Elvis, and you've got 12 devoted to Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
So I mean, that kind of tells you that for us, it's going on, and it will go on. But for the mainstream audience and whatnot, it pretty much ended in December of last year.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Well said. I don't think I have anything else to add to what just Eric said. I'm 100%, in agreement with that. And, like it or not, to me, um, there's no connection between Kiss and future generations. To me, Kiss became a cult band, uh, you know, many years ago, and it's just interesting for us, for fans like us. So if they really have a commercial and a marketing mindset, they should be releasing products that are going to be consumed by us. I don't think new people will jump in and go on and sit down in front of a TV just to show a full show, just to see a full show of the Hide in the Shade era. But we will. Okay, so now they missed a huge opportunity with the anniversaries for different records. And again, I'm going to repeat what Eric just said. Why not come up with a combo? You release something on vinyl or whatever, and a video, and hopefully not through Kiss Online because it's going to be sold out in 2 minutes. But I that's what I would love to see. We were talking about how much we like Animalize. Why not having a video like that from the Asylum era, from Hot in the Shade? And then if you go back, as you just said, Pask, in retrospective, you go back to the 70s and you capture, Cobo Hall full show. I'm sure that they have it, or maybe something that, we went crazy with the Sam Loomis thing, so everybody was jumping, for even 10 seconds or 20 seconds. Do something, so pick up, the stuff from the vault and do something for the fans. And, the interesting thing is that there's not going to be price reference. They could charge anything and we will pay for it, so there's going to be fans paying for it. Do you think that future generations and a dad with his son, they're going to pay $250, $300 for a combo of a vinyl and a Kiss video? No, but we will. So I hope they realize that the market is just us, and it's not enticing for new generations. I don't think so. Maybe they're going to take the Avatar thing as a revolution, but it's going to be too late, man. It's done already. It's done.
Well, you made a good point when you talked about Kiss being like a cult phenomenon, and I agree with that. Like I think maybe at the beginning they were, but then they became an international phenomenon. Everybody was into the band, and we saw that till the very end. But now I think we're going back into that cult.
Oh, yeah.
Because now we're seeing who's left, and it's that Kiss cult. Who's left? It's us. And you could try to capture new fans through avatars or whatever. And yes, I think when the avatars come out, I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be new. I think we're going to be curious. And a lot of people, whether you're a Kiss fan or not, I think are going to want to see that. But that's not going to last long. No. And then when they're gone, who's left? Us. So they have to understand when that audience leaves and there's people standing by, sitting there, in a sense, waiting for the after credits for the Marvel movies. Who's standing? It's the major fans. It's us. It's us. So give us some good after credits.
Yeah.
Because we're the ones that are going to be supporting that film. We're going to be the ones supporting that band.
Oh yeah.
And they need to listen to us if this band's legacy is going to continue. Because if you think it's going to continue through the next generation, it will not. And like Eric said, it's about Taylor Swift. I love her, but it's about Taylor Swift right now, and artists like her. It's not about Kiss. That's for the old folks like us.
Yeah.
But look at us here in the podcast. It's over a year after the end of the road, and we're still talking about the band. There's no shortage of topics to talk about. And we could talk about this band for years to come because there's so much to dissect.
Yeah.
But the cult does that. The casual fans cannot.
Well, I think what you're saying is absolutely true. And I think that because they meant so much to so many people, and it was such a media experience with the makeup and music and whatnot, once you have it, you kind of had to be there and grow up with it almost in a sense or be exposed to it.
Yeah.
But once it's in your DNA, it's there forever. Because I
Yeah.
mean, I love all sorts of bands, but you know, I'm interested in the whole Kiss career, like anything like documentary and whatnot. I'm a huge Aerosmith fan, but when I think of Aerosmith, I think of 1973 to 1976, the first four albums. That's like the classic period, and then I kind of like drop off a bit. But Kiss was always like a part of our lives when we were in high school, when I was in primary school, when I was in college, university, you know, and you always had something happening. And that something happening is what, you know, kept you going through the hard times, you know, whether it was waiting for a concert, an album to be released, or reading about something in Metal Edge and saying, man, that's going to be really cool. I can't wait to see that type thing. And now it's gone. So
Yeah.
it's on us to make sure that it continues and that it continues to permeate the fandom and whatnot. Because will Pop House do it? I really don't think so. And do they really have the wherewithal, unless they're doing like market surveys with fans and whatnot,
They are.
to give the really diehard fans what they want? I don't think so, because I've seen some of these projected prototypes and whatnot, and some of them are pretty brutal. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people will buy them and stuff, but some of them have like a passing resemblance to Kiss. You know, it's just you might as well take Tommy Lee and stamp Kiss on it and try to sell it. That's how it
Yeah.
looks to me.
Yeah. But you know, if you talk to kids today and the music that they're into today, like you said, Eric, that is part of their DNA. And we can never convince them that Kiss or bands of that era is what you should be listening to or what you're really going to enjoy. They might be curious through technology, but then they're going right back to what they know.
Well, and this is the struggle I'm having promoting bands and stuff right now,
Exactly.
because
Exactly. That
for
is
for a lot of the youth today, music is background music.
Yeah.
So they don't have that affinity. It's kind of like what's happening to the background, secondary to what else is going on.
yeah.
So, you know, and part of that is the availability, the easy access. Because when you can go on a device and have access to thousands for free, basically, or almost no money, you saturate yourself. You tell yourself, you start taking it for granted, like anything else.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
you know, I'm helping to promote acts that are in their 20s, but when you go to the shows, the people that are there are in their 40s, 50s, and
Yeah.
60s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good point.
You know, it's true that it's different topics, but you know, I don't think we have to lose hope, because you know, just as an analogy, we never thought that vinyl was going to be back,
Right.
and it's back, right? So maybe something similar will happen with live shows, with rock and roll. You know what you're doing, Eric. It's, to me, it's, you know, hats off, man. It's beautiful that the fact that because of your passion and your love for music, you keep promoting, you know, local bands and different types of music, not only rock and roll, but you know, that's the beauty of it. But it's tough, you know. It's different times, you know. Everything goes too fast. People don't have, apparently they don't have the time to enjoy, you know, art. So I don't know. It's where we're starting to sound like, you know, you know,
Right.
but that's right. You know, this is who we are. This is what we love, and this is what we would like to see from a band like Kiss. But you know, Kiss is, I think it's that's why they might not be so interested to release stuff, you know, because they know that it's not going to be mainstream. It's going to be just for, you know, diehards that are not so many.
Well,
So
let me put it to you this way: if they're started to release cassettes again, we can only hope.
Yeah.
Very true. All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming on the show and, you know, discussing this this fabulous topic that we've been wanting to do for a very long time. And again, this is another example of, you know, the diversity of topics that we could talk about with this band. They're just so intricate. And, you know, talking about the mainstream, I wish the mainstream would understand or see beyond the makeup and beyond some of the cheesy lyrics, how much this band means to people like us. And, you know, they might not get the obsession or the passion, but try to understand it. Because I said it before and I'll say it again. everyone should have a passion in something. And that is so enriching to one's life. And we are so lucky to have this band. And we wish that people out there have a similar passion for something, because life doesn't get better than that. And it doesn't get better than talking about the band with the four of you. It's just
There you go.
amazing. Thank you, guys.
I love it. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Pat. It's always, guys, it's always a pleasure. And it's true. We were really, really long overdue on this topic, and but it came out great. So, you know, and we could be, you know, keep going on this forever, you know, talking about videos. Thank you. Thank you again, Eric and Pat. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. And we need to get It's Rocking Science for dates in Montreal 2025. This guy's band, Patrick.
Nice.
Who knows?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Call me.
All right. Take care, guys.
Take care.
Thanks.
To the Kiss Army, we hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas, please send them to talktome@kissarmynationpodcast.com. Until the next time, remember, never stop rocking. Take care, everyone. If you enjoyed this episode, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and X. You can watch us on YouTube or listen to us on Podomatic, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. This is about you, so please like and subscribe to support the amazing guests we have on the show. See you soon, Kiss Army.